welcome back to my channel. My name is Shelby and today I'm going to be talking about 5 romance recommendations. The trope I'm going to be focusing on today is enemies to lovers, which is one of my favorite tropes. As always, I will link all of these books down below and let's get right into it. The first one I have to talk about is The Rivals by Vi Keeland. The main characters in this story are Sophie Sterling and Weston Lockwood, and the two of them have rivaling families. They have always rivaled for years, and the root cause of that rivalry is a woman. They've owned separate hotels for generations, but the woman that they were fighting over has recently passed, and she's passed over 50-50 shares to the two different families. So Sophie and Weston are forced to work together, and eventually one of them wants to kind of buy out the other one so they don't have to share the company anymore. And Sophie and Weston really don't like each other. They knew each other as teenagers and as kids, and the last time they saw each other was prom night, and obviously some things went down and they're not happy to see each other years later. This is far from a slow burn. They kind of immediately jump into the sack together, but their chemistry is fire. It had enough buildup where you felt it and you didn't feel like it was rushed. And that chemistry is carried on through the whole story. They really don't like working together. It's kind of like hate sleeping together, which I really enjoyed in this. Definitely one of my favorite enemies to lovers by Vi Keeland. And then a sweeter romance is Kiss My Cupcake by Helena Hunting. If you like things having to do with bakeries, I think you would really enjoy this. Our two characters are Blair and Ronan. Blair owns a cupcake shop that also sells like confectionery cocktails, and Ronan owns the bar next door. He inherited it from, I think, his grandfather, and the two of them really don't get along. They're trying to take customers from one another and compete with one another, but then a big chain bar moves in across the street, so they kind of team up to advertise one another and work with each other instead of against each other to work against this big name brand bar. And that's when they end up having this romance, and they are really funny together. They played a lot of pranks on each other, so if you like pranks and kind of silly things like that, I think you would really enjoy this. It's definitely a more sweet romance, but I think it did have a little bit of steam in there too. And this is one of the better reading experiences I've had with Helena Hunting. I just thought this one was overall really cute. Then I have Taming Hollywood's Baddest Boy by Max Monroe. I usually don't love celebrity romances, but this one is definitely not your typical celebrity romance. Our main characters are Luca and Billy. Luca used to be a famous actor in Hollywood, but then something happened and he left Hollywood and moved into the Alaska wilderness. And ever since, everyone's been wondering like where he went. Billy is a production assistant and she kind of gets put on the spot in a meeting, and she says she could get Luca Weaver as the actor in the movie they're producing, even though she's never met him or anything like that. So she ends up getting on a plane, going to Alaska and tracking him down, and he doesn't want to be found. He's not happy to see her. The two of them don't like each other, and he ends up needing to go on some kind of trek in the woods, and she's not woodsy at all. She doesn't know how to do like wilderness things, and she comes with him. They're forced to camp together and hike together, and they share a tent. So definitely steamy there, and I thought this one was really good. He has a really sweet dog, so if you love animals, you'd really like this one. And I thought this was kind of different from other Max Monroe books that I've read, and I just really loved it, and I'd highly recommend it. Then we have Simi After Class by Megan Quinn. You guys know I love Megan Quinn's books, and this was no exception. This is about Arlo and Greer. They are two teachers. Greer is fresh out of teaching school, and she gets a job at this high school. She is an English teacher and she kind of has more modern teaching ways, and Arlo is very traditional, and he's head of the English department and he really doesn't like Greer. The two of them get off on the wrong foot and they play a lot of pranks on each other and get on each other's nerves, and they have a lot of steamy scenes in the classroom, which I loved. So if you like that kind of stuff, I think you'd really enjoy this one. And it has the typical Megan humor. So if you love Megan Quinn's kind of raunchy humor, I think you'd really enjoy this one. The last one I have to recommend is Loathe Thy Neighbor by Tegan Hunter. This is about Dean and River, who happen to be neighbors. They really don't get along. River thinks that Dean is very inconsiderate and always keeps her up and things like that. But then she accidentally plays a hand in Dean's apartment getting on fire, and so she feels guilty and offers him her spare room to rent. And so they end up living together. So it has the forced proximity / roommate tropes that I really enjoy. This one was really hilarious. It had good steamy scenes. It's a very light and quick read. If you like Megan Quinn, I actually think you would really like this one as well, because they both have that kind of witty humor, and I just love the roommates trope and the forced proximity. That's something that really works for me, and they really didn't like each other. I really enjoyed this one, and I think you guys would too. So those are 5 enemies to lovers romances I have to recommend. Let me know down below your favorite enemies to lovers romances. As always, I will link them down below, and I'll see you guys on my next one. Bye.